Hello everyone, it's Leon here from Kotaku, and I've got some very quick tips for Destiny to help get you started as quickly as possible. I've obviously played the alpha and the beta, but I'm also quite a way into the main game. I'm on Venus at the moment, so I've leveled up a fair bit, and I've got basically just some really quick tips to try and get you started as soon as possible. Now, the first thing you want to think about before you even play the game is really what class you're going to pick. They initially seem quite obvious. You've got the Titan, which is a kind of a heavy, you've got the Hunter, which looks like a kind of a sniper scout class, and you've got the Warlock, who's the kind of the magic dealing member of the group. But they can actually be kitted out in slightly different ways. You have subclasses, two different subclasses, and these can fundamentally change the abilities of the character as you sort of move later into the game. Now let's go through them one by one. So the Titan, as I say, he is the damage dealer. He's all about brute force, he's heavily armoured, he starts with shotgun, so he can deal a lot of damage and he can take it. So it's very good if you want to just basically get in the fight and dish out as much damage as you can. He's got a Fist of Havoc supercharge ability, which is a kind of a splash damage aerial punch that you can sort of use to get into the middle of a crowd and kill a lot of enemies at the same time. You can also upgrade him later on with perks that will kind of boost your health as you give melee attacks, so that kind of helps you sort of stay in the middle of the fight and not have to back off. You can, though, if you choose the Defender subclass, kit him out as a more supportive character. You can put out a thing called the Ward of Dawn, which is a sort of a shield that will buff both you and your fire team, so you're actually able to kind of back your team members up as a purely supportive kind of way, not just about dealing damage. Now, the Hunter seems initially like a sniper class. It's a fast, lightly armoured character that comes with a sniper rifle as a secondary, but it can actually be kitted out to be both a ranged fighter and also a close combat kind of unit. It's, as I say, focused on range. You get a sniper rifle as an initial secondary weapon, but you do have a Blade Dancer subclass. It's got two subclasses. It's got Gunslinger and Blade Dancer. Now, the Gunslinger is focused on damage. You have a golden gun weapon that gives you basically 3 magic bullets that kind of insta-kill anything. You can kit that out to get more kind of extension on its abilities and do more damage, which is very useful. You can also go for a Blade Dancer subclass, which gives you more kind of melee and knife options that sort of increase splash damage and area of effect, so you can actually make it into quite a powerful close quarters combat fighter. But it can also be a traditional stealth class, so there's cloaking options later on. It all depends on how you want to play that character. Now, the Warlock is potentially one of the harder classes to get to grips with. It has the potential to do a huge amount of damage, but it's not as fast as a Hunter, it's not as well protected as the Titan, so you can be killed quite easily as a Warlock. Bungie's own description of this class is that it's a glass cannon that kind of describes its ability to do a lot of damage but not necessarily take it. You do, however, have a fast recovery ability, which means if you can keep moving and you can get out of danger, then you will recover your shield quite quickly. So if you can sort of master it, then you can actually make quite a lot of difference on the battlefield. It's got two subclasses, the Voidwalker and the Sun Singer. Now, the Voidwalker builds up the Nova Bomb, which is its kind of grenade attack, and if you kit that out and build on it, you can have quite a large area of effect. It's quite good at sort of getting rid of a lot of enemies, I should say, if you can aim it well. The Sun Singer, on the other hand, develops an ability called Radiance, which can protect and enhance you and your team's abilities, and it can also revive you if you die. So it's powerful, but it's difficult to master, and you can build a support kind of option to it if you kit it outright. Now, in terms of levelling up as well, basically the fastest way of levelling up is to fight higher levels and fight harder monsters. There's two main ways of doing that. You can activate a challenge mode when you start a level, which will basically kind of give you an XP bonus. It'll make the level harder, but you will get more out of it. You can also take stories above your level, because multiple options are unlocked, and you can take stuff, anything that's there on the map you can play basically. As long as you stay within about 2 or 3 levels of your character, you should be okay. It shouldn't be that hard. If you go any higher than that, then it starts to get a bit tricky, and you'll start to see enemies with kind of red stats, and they'll be harder to damage, and it'll be very grindy and very difficult to get through. But if you do the challenge modes and go for the high level missions, you will gain XP faster and you will level up a lot quicker. Now, if you are going to go for the harder levels and the harder enemies, one thing that can help make these sort of fights a lot easier is to keep an eye out for sort of invisible walls, because a lot of the enemies will be contained within certain areas. You'll notice a lot more when you go underground and inside buildings, but you'll be fighting an enemy and they won't kind of leave the area they're in. So you can use that to your advantage to sort of hang back, get some range, fight them at a distance, and that means you can be fighting enemies a lot higher level than you and stand a better chance, especially when you fight things that can effectively one-shot kill you. Now, each of your character also has a special ability, so these are things like the Nova Bombs, the Golden Gun, the fist attack that the Titan uses to punch the ground. If you kill enemies with these, it will generate orbs of light. Now, this can be used to recharge your special power, and they can also be collected by anyone on your fire team. So if you coordinate your special attacks to keep generating orbs of light and keep collecting them, you can keep the specials rolling a lot faster than if you just try and build the power up as you play. Now, sometimes you will encounter enemies with shields, and you'll find they can be quite hard to wear down. This will be because you're not using the right kind of weapon, and the shields are colour-coded to let you know what's best against it. So an orange shield is weak against solar weapons, so you want to use things like the Warlock's solar flare or the Hunter's golden gun, and that will break down the shield a lot quicker than standard attacks. Blue shields, on the other hand, are weak against arc energy or arc power, so that's things like the Titan's pulse grenade or the Hunter's arc blade. If you match the shield colour to the correct weapon type, you'll be able to break that shield down much more quickly and take the enemy out a lot faster. Now, something that would seem obvious is that headshots do a lot more damage than body shots or limb shots, but in Destiny, some enemies seem to be almost critically weak against headshots, so an enemy that could take forever to wear down through normal gunfire can be gone in 2 or 3 shots. Wizards, for example, can be very, very tough enemies. So can ogres and so can knights. But if you get a few good headshots in, you can kill a wizard in 3 headshots. So it might be worth, if you can, equipping a sniper rifle, trying to hang back and get those headshots in and practice your aiming rather than just spraying bullets and chipping away gradually at the health. Something that is worth noting is that if you do swap a special weapon mid-game or in a mission, you will lose any special ammo you've collected. That can obviously make a huge difference if you're relying on that secondary weapon to do the damage and then you swap to something else. So think very carefully before you swap weapons and whether or not you really need that gun right now. And maybe make sure you equip the right weapon before you go into a particular mission. Now, something that is easy to forget is going back to the tower. Here is where you unlock your encrypted engrams, you get new missions, bounties. These update as you complete missions and as you level up, and if you don't return quite often, you can be missing out on stuff, and that can sort of hold your character progression back. So try to remember between missions to go back to the tower whenever you can. As I say, you'll pick up new gear, you can check out new bounties, and you can just basically just boost your character's progression a little bit. When you are at the tower, one thing you should look to do is to save the coded engrams. Now, these are the sort of the secret bits of equipment you can collect and find when you play missions, and you have to take them back to the tower in order to have them decoded before you can access what's inside. Now, these generate their stats when you decrypt them, so until you actually get them unlocked and decoded, they don't sort of become anything, and they rise with your level. So it's a good idea to kind of hang on to some for a while. You don't need to sort of unlock them as you get them. If you keep them and save them till you've leveled up a bit, you will get better gear out of it when you do. Now, much like the engrams, there are golden chests that will unlock special gear when you find them in various areas of the map. Again, these level up with you, so it's best to maybe not collect them straight away. You'll find 5 on Earth like as soon as you start playing, but it's best to kind of ignore them for a while and come back when you've leveled up a bit, because the loot you'll get from these chests will be a little bit better and you'll benefit from being patient. So there you go, there's a few basic tips, just some really simple stuff to help you get off to a quicker start in Destiny. Subscribe if you want more, leave a comment if you have anything you want to add, and I shall speak to you guys later.
Yeah, he's back. We've just got one crazy night left. Yeah, they're one-hit kills, aren't they?
Wow.
Whoa, hey! Did you guys come from? Oh, did you? Oh, I thought I saved you.
Yeah, I thought you did too.
Oh, my. Oh my god, this is the last one.